Welcome back, Nerdiverse. It is, of course, your boy Mike G that has returned on a quiet Saturday night to talk some 1/6 scale figures. This is MOTN Figured It Out, where I, your resident master of the Nerdiverse Mike G, gets to wax poetic about the one hobby he loves the most, which is 1/6 scale figures. This is episode 2 of this series that I'm doing, and I figured, no pun intended, that we can go over some of the figures that were announced this week and figures that were launched this week, meaning available for purchase. So let's get right into it, shall we? Today we're going to be talking about good old Winter Soldier, as well as the Black Myth Wukong by InArts, and some other figures that I just wanted to talk to you guys about this evening. This is a live show. This is a very live show. So if you happen to jump in the chat and have any questions about these figures, about the characters, about their history, let me know. We can have a conversation. This is what this is all about. We don't only figure out the actual figure, the product, but we also figure out the character. Me being a master of the Nerdiverse, I tend to know these things inside and out. Not always, but here we are. Shout outs to Bradley in the chat. Definitely keeping me awake here on a Saturday evening. We got them old man bones. So you know I'm tired, but this is what we do. So let's get right into it. We're going to be going over, I would say, the star of the show this week, Mr. Bucky Barnes himself, the Winter Soldier. Now, this is a figure that just recently was teased. I'm going to say about a good 2-3 weeks ago, a 2.0, because this figure was released back when the movie Captain America and the Winter Soldier was first released. And that figure, one, was very dated, and two, had many problems with it. The body type was off. There was like pleather for the leather, so the actual leather parts, the quote-unquote leather parts, would flake, and the likeness wasn't that good. But needless to say, still a grail, still a figure that people sought after to fill in their collection, because the Winter Soldier is one of the most badass, I would say, villains in the MCU to date. So when we got the word that they were announcing a 2.0, and not only a 2.0, but an Artisan 2.0, the world kind of went crazy. And the way that they released this guy is something that has been much of, I would say, scrutiny, and a little bit of kind of like, why would you do that? So this is a figure that was created by Hot Toys, 1/6 scale figure, and we'll definitely go over all of his fun accoutrements. But what I would like to talk about first is how they plan to sell this bad boy. So in total, this figure had a amount that was available of 3,000 in total across the world. 2,000 of those were a special edition that included a Captain America shield, and 1,000 of them were the standard version that were going to be available for anybody who can get their hands on them fast enough. Now, the way that these things are sold, mind you, Hot Toys is not an American-based company. They're based in Hong Kong. So a lot of these figures are sold on the outside of the US, but the one distributor that is available in the United States is Sideshow. So Sideshow will get their allotment of figures, and then for figures that are rarer, they'll actually provide more of a kind of lottery, you know what I mean, where you have to wait in line, and hopefully you'll have the chance to buy one before they sell out. Because the full 3,000 allotment is not just given to us Americans. That 3,000 is for the world. So Sideshow only gets a certain amount of those. So how this works is you go into the website. At a certain time, they tell you to be there. So let's say 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. So you're on the website, 10 a.m. Let's say you get there 10:15. You're going to be greeted with a shot that says, you're in line, and this is your place in line. May that be 4th in line or 5,000th in line of all these people trying to buy this figure. And they'll tell you percentages of how much is left in stock. So your fingers and toes crossed that you are going to be one of the lucky few to purchase this figure. Now, full transparency, I wasn't really looking to buy this one. Doesn't really fit in my collection, and plus, I got a Bucky back there. I got my Bucky with Cap from Cap in the Winter Soldier. I mean, not Captain the Winter Soldier, but yeah, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, from the TV series from Disney Plus. So I'm happy with my Bucky. I didn't necessarily need this one, but I wanted to jump in line because I just wanted to see if I can actually get a decent break on it. And of course, when I jumped in line, it was like 10:30, 10:15 leagues late, not even close. I was like 5,000th in line, and the allotment have already sold 50%. So I was pretty much, I was cooked. You know what I mean? I was Goldenberg fried chicken at that point, but it was totally fine. It's not a figure that I really wanted. I just wanted to see if I can actually get it. How much this guy was going for artisan line, and we'll go into what that means. He was going for 430, I believe, 430 American dollars, USD. And we'll go into what all that entails momentarily. We can actually do that right now on this screen. So on the image yes, these figures are not cheap, my good man Bradley. This is a very expensive hobby, and we're in not only expensive but hard to get into, because like I've mentioned before in previous episodes, you just can't buy these like at a Target or at a KB. You know what I mean? You have to hunt these down because they're made in such small amounts and they're so almost like handmade. So what do you get for $430? Yeah, no child is allowed in this room. They would just go through, and if anybody breaks my cap, I'm going to break next. I'm just telling you guys, just keeping it tall. No, you keep these things under like presidential glass, locked away. If we have children or cats, see, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I got cats. Cats can't come in here because they'll want to claw at stuff, and I would have a mental breakdown if I found a cat drooling on my Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just not going to happen. But this guy is an artisan figure. So so you ask, what's the difference between a regular 6 scale figure and an artisan figure? Well, artisan figures are a little bit different. Damn those mischievous felines, bro. You hit the nail right on the damn head. The difference between a artisan figure and a normal figure is artisan is usually has a couple of things that are just a little bit more premium than your standard figure. Most figures that are 1/6 scale, if they have hair, the hair will be sculpted into the head sculpt. So it'll be like the hair will be pretty much plastic with everything else and painted and all that good stuff. Artisan figures usually have kind of like kneaded hair. They have like not real hair. They have wool installed hair, so you can do stuff with it and stylize it and lock it into a pose and all that cool stuff. So most of the artisan figures have lifelike hair. This figure comes with real leather for the armament, so that bad boy's not peeling anytime soon. This figure comes with a magnetic base, as you can see, in 3 different arm stages that you can pose this guy in. So let's go into the more of the details of this figure while we have him readily available. So as I mentioned earlier, this, and you can see to the picture of the right for good old Bucky Barnes here, he has those implanted hair, which looks okay. If you ask me, I think the hair could use a bit of more work, could look a bit more messy, because if I remember in the movie correctly, this guy was constantly disheveled and sweating and looking all crazy. Speaking of looking, he has separate rolling eyes. So if you want to lock in that side eye or lock in a down looking crazy look, you can. I mentioned just a moment ago, he has 3 interchangeable arms, which is super sick. This is something you don't really see in 1/6 scale figures. So what that means, and this is really just like educational stuff, is that when you get a 3/6 scale figure, you want them to be able to bend their arms, move around their wrists, and all that stuff. The problem with that is that to get that kind of mobility, usually there's a seam. There's a seam at the wrist. Sometimes there's a seam at the elbow, and it could be unsightly. It could make it look like an action figure. And the one thing you don't want with these things is that for them to look like action figures. These are small humans that are sitting on your shelf. That's what you want. You want a small version of the actor in your room, of the character in your room. So what this arm system does is that you can plug out Bucky's arm. They have 3 different settings. One is a bendable version, so you can put him in action poses and stuff. That does have the seam. The other is a straight metallic arm, non-bendable, but it is that clean, perfect look. And third arm, I think it's like a mix of both, where it's kind of flexible, but still hides that seam pretty well. The only time this has ever been done that I can remember is they did it for Thanos for the Infinity War, where his arm was stuck in like a gauntlet pose, and he had a flexible arm. I have a Thanos. You can't see it behind me because my big back is blocking my Thanos, but please believe he's in the collection back there, right under Doc Ock. You can see Doc Ock and Loki behind me. Thanos is right below there. Another cool thing this base comes with is a magnetic figure base. So you can see in the middle shot there that is where he is standing. No crotch grabber, as they say, no waist grabber. I guess the figure is magnetized and the base is too. So you can just stand him up there and should be good to go. Nothing between him shall prosper. You know what I mean? Usually there is kind of like a sightly pole there or a stand so the thing won't tip over if there's an earthquake or you just walk in the room too hard. But they're working on a new technology where you can actually have it without anything. You just kind of stand them up straight. In my opinion, if we're just going based on what Mike G likes and doesn't like, the base is a little small for me. I like my figure to be able to branch out or even have a diorama base. Kind of like my Obi-Wan Kenobi back there has a full diorama base. I love it. So even though it's magnetic, I hope they still tinker with the technology, you know what I mean? And kind of fine tune that, because the way it's looking now, it's fine. It's just a little small for me. Another cool thing is on the image on the bottom left, his face has 3 different ways you can actually portray him from the film. One is the clean Sebastian Stan look, which I'm sure people will go with. One is the half mask, which is what I would do if I was getting this bad boy, which I'm not. And one is the full mask with the goggles. I think he was dressed like that at the freeway scene where he has to fight Cap, and Falcon is there and Black Widow's there. But that is really interesting. And one thing I love about 1/6 scale figures is they give you so much variety with how you want to display your figure. Because pretty much I like to call them living statues, where you lock in a pose, you keep that pose for like a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year. And one day you may wake up and decide, I want him to look different. I'm going to switch it up. And you break out all your pieces and you kind of rearrange them to look how you want in a pose, in a museum pose if you want. And you can actually just lock in that design. So that's one thing that just keeps me coming back to this hobby. My Doctor Strange back there, I've reposed 6 or 7 times. And I just have so much fun posing that guy. Question from Bradley. So I assume 1/4 is bigger than 1/16th, 1/6. Yeah, it's very good. So think of it like this. The way to measure it out is you have to think of it 1/6 of the actual size, right? So a 1/6 scale figure is 1/6 the size of a real person. 1/4 size is 1/4 size, so it's a little bit bigger. 1.5, half the actual, object, and then what they call is like full scale or 1-to-1 is the actual just standee. You know what I mean? And some of those 1-to-1s go crazy. Like there is a Hulkbuster 1-to-1 that is literally like the size of someone's garage, and the thing is huge. I think it's owned by some eccentric billionaire, has it like in his hangar or something like that. But yeah, that's usually how you break down those scales, Bradley. I tend to like 1/6 because they're that sweet spot. Not too big and not too small. 1/12 is fine. They're just too toy-like. 1/4 is too big. This is like my perfect porridge. Porridge is too hot. Porridge is too cold. So that's how you break that down. And lastly, you would need a man cave with several rooms to be able to display one of those. Exactly, those 1-to-1s. Exactly. And trust me, there's people who have it. There's people who I've seen videos of people who have full-blown Iron Man armors, fully die-cast 1-to-1. They look crazy. You can only imagine how much they paid for those. But yeah, there's collectors out there. I've seen 1-to-1 Hulks on exhibit. I saw this sick 1-to-1 Xenomorph from Alien. Godlike, bro. But that's a whole nother stratosphere of collecting that I'm personally not there yet. And the last thing I wanted to talk about with this figure is the genuine leather, because this is something they should do more often, in my opinion. A lot of these figures are made with pleather or some kind of faux leather, like my Vader back there. It's not real leather; it's pleather, just to keep down on costs and make it more flexible. Problem with that is that this stuff peels after a while. No matter how well you take care of these figures, they will begin to peel after a while, and it's just kind of like a planned obsolescence, I think, is what's going on here. Which yet that part, my sir, speak it into existence. If you dream it, don't dream it, be it. But yeah, real genuine leather for a figure like this is goated. That alone would make me want to buy it if I was a big Bucky fan and just replace my Bucky back there. But I'm not a huge Bucky fan. I'm not a huge Winter Soldier fan. But trust me, they're there because they booted me out of line when I thought I was going to get one. So all that being said, I think this is an excellent figure. I think if you pre-ordered one, lucky dog, bully for you. I know you will enjoy it. And I think this standing next to a Captain America is going to look insane. This standing next to a Black Widow will look insane. Even you can even go like an old school first Avengers Captain America to go with the end scene of the Winter Soldier, and those are floating out there. So have fun with this one, guys. Absolutely. So our next figure we're going to be talking about is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, where the Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, was like $400-$500. This figure, made by Hono Studios, is like $150, $160, and this is the Symbiote Spider-Man 1/6 scale figure made by Hono Studios. That Sam Wilson, it's not great to me. The one that's from the Winter Soldier, that's a very old Hot Toy figure, and it's just back when they were still figuring things out. Literally, name of the show. So like I wouldn't buy it because I have a goated Captain America Sam Wilson back there. If you look all the way at the top, you can see his wings. That's my Sam. Even with this new movie coming out, I'm going to stick with this comic book accurate Sam Wilson Captain America. You know, gotta have black representation in my collection. That being said, speaking of black representation, let's talk about Black Suit Spider-Man here. Hono Studios is a company that is kind of like a sister company to Hot Toys. And what about so Sam Wilson stinks? See, now you just jumping to conclusion. No, Sam Wilson is goated. First of all, you just want to talk facts about Sam Wilson, Captain America. He is third in line in the mantle of Captain America. Well, actually, no. There's been a ton of Caps, but he's the most recent in line, right? His suit is made of vibranium. He still has his robotic bird that he keeps around with him, and he's just dope. You know what I mean? So I had to have one in my collection. So Sam Wilson will always have a place in my collection. But that being said, Symbiote Spider-Man. What I was going to say about Hono Studios. Hono Studios is an interesting company because they are making. Oh yeah, Anthony Mackie. I don't see. Yeah, Anthony Mackie. Yo, Toots was good. Good thing about Anthony Mackie is he's just him for now, and I'm not a big fan of Anthony Mackie across the board. But if he's Sam Wilson, he's Sam Wilson. You know, like I invest in the character, not the actor. You know what I mean? So if he's Sam Wilson, he's Sam Wilson. So that's just how it is. The thing about Hono Studios is that they're making cheaper. I take that back. I wouldn't say cheaper figures. They're making cost-effective figures for people who want to get into the hobby. So these figures aren't going to be genuine leather. They're not going to have head sculpts. They're not going to have die-cast pieces. They're going to be pretty much made on the low, so that if you're interested in 1/6 scale and want to feel one in your hand and lock in, these are the best figures to buy. I personally have a Hono Studios Wolverine that I'm looking at literally right now on my desk, and it's goated. I swear by it. The thing is dope. So when it comes to this black suit Spider-Man, I'm really tempted to pick this one up because I think it is just comic booky enough to keep into your, once I mentioned it before, your classic shelf, right? If you don't want to really go MCU, you wanted to go old school, like how you remember him looking in the comics, you can't get any better than a simple black suit like this. Let's go into the details, shall we? So, one cool thing I want to talk about when it comes to black suit Spider-Man is this thing is flexible. You can see here some of these poses they're locking in. You can't do with a Spidey that's an MCU Spidey just because the suit won't allow it. You'll get tearing, you'll get creases. People are very delicate with their Spideys. Even my Spidey back there, I'm playing a dangerous game, keeping him in a pose. And I've already seen it kind of crease, but I don't care. I'm gonna lock in a pose. But these figures, oh, do they have any other Spider-Mans? Oh my sweet, sweet summer child. There are thousands of 1/6 scale Spider-Man. Every single movie that's ever been out has a Spider-Man, from Tobey Maguire to Tom Holland. There is Superior Spider-Man. It is pretty much a nylon suit, right? Suits. It's pretty much nylon, so it's extremely flexible. So this guy's going to get into any pose you want. It's not going to crease. It's not going to tear. And you could just really go wild with this particular figure. It comes with a neat little backpack you can throw on him, which I think is a nice little accessory, as well as a full array of hands, full array of webbing, and you can swap out his eyes to make it more of a, let's say, Todd McFarlane style lens, or more standard kind of like Ed Benes style frame. And that's the slide on the bottom left says, entry grade figure, 1/6 scale, high quality, you can highly articulate it. And the cool thing about this is the actual base. You can actually fit a comic book in it. So what you do is there's a little slide back there where you take off the protective cover and put your favorite Spider-Man comic with your figure. I have my Wolverine comic here, and I'll post it on the Facebook of my Wolverine right next to my Cyclops with a comic right next to it. It's the perfect, it just looks really nice. And one thing about these guys, it's really inexpensive. I think this guy's going for under 200. I think, and I also believe that Sideshow still has some if you want to check it out, sideshow.com. This is not sponsored. This is just where, if you're in US, this is where you get them. So I highly recommend this figure for me. For anyone who wants to get into comics and you're a Spidey head and you love that iconic black and white suit, the Venom suit, the symbiote, lock this in. And if you're hunting for more of a classic suit Spider-Man, trust and believe there are plenty of them out there that you can probably get third party, and they're going to be making classic suit Spider-Man figures forever. You know what I mean? So if you just want to wait out the next new hotness, I more than suggest that you jump on the train and check out what's going to be coming soon, because there's a couple of people they'll never stop making: Batman, Iron Man, Spidey. Tons of them and out there, and tons of them to come. I promise you that. Absolutely. Yeah, so that is the Hono Studios Black Suit Spider-Man symbiote, released this week. Get you one if you want one. They're out there. Happy hunting. Next, we got to talk about this goat right here. The Black Myth Wukong. Okay, we got a question in the chat. In your opinion, what is the best Spider-Man suit that they would make a figure for? Very good question. One that I haven't seen that I would like is, I want to see the Ben Reilly 90s Spider-Man suit. That's what I want. You know what I'm talking about, Bradley? The Ben Reilly clone suit where he has the Scarlet Spider metal bracelets, the exposed web shooters. He has the giant spider emblem on the right side of his body with the cut cut emblem. Yeah, the Ben Reilly Spider-Man suit. I'd buy that in a heartbeat, bro. But they don't really advertise that one much anymore. Like even in the games, even like in the Spider-Man PS5 games, that's not an available suit you can pick. So it's kind of bunk. But if I was to pick one, it'll be the 90s Ben Reilly suit. That suit is absolute goat water, I promise you. So we're going to talk about in-art. In-art is probably the most detailed 1/6 scale racket out there. And when I say detailed, I mean spared no expense. For those who are fans of the channel, you know we're doing an MOTN lore on Jurassic Park. Wink, wink. Watch it this Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard. But we're going to talk about this black myth Wukong figure. So, like I said, in art are the masters of detail. They are the ones who really set a fire under Hot Toys to really step up their game. These were the guys who were doing rooted hair. These are the guys who were doing magnetic bases. These were the guys who were doing die cast all around. And look at the frosted tips in his beard. Yeah, my man is accessorized. He a monkey man. And this figure, when I tell you, is absolutely gorgeous. The details in the suit, the posability in the character. Mind you, I didn't play this game. For those who don't know what this is, Black Myth Wukong is a video game that came out on PS5, I think Xbox Series X and PC. I watched it played, watched it beat, but never played it myself. So I'm not really invested in this character, but I'm invested enough to know this is great ass work. And for those who are really wanting to get into the video game collecting, why not this one? And I think that's one thing that the companies that's an untapped market that neither company, InArt or Hot Toys, are really touching. You know what I mean? There is a whole well of video game characters that they can do outside of Black Myth Wukong. I've been wanting a die-cast Samus Aran from Metroid since forever. If I get a Metroid, a Samus Aran, that would be goated. Like I want an Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, like a 1/6 Sub-Zero or Scorpion. You know what I mean? They just came out with Kratos from God of War 2016. So I mean, there's so many video game characters that I think that would bring new lifeblood into this particular hobby, who want that representation on their shelf. You know, Samus would be gorgeous. I would want like a Metroid Prime Samus, fully die cast with a different head sculpt, where you see her under the mask. Oh my goodness, Nintendo will never allow it. Nintendo will never have it. But I think Black Myth Wukong is a good doorway to that, because if this sells well, maybe this will put a fire under other companies to say, let's snatch up some of these licenses, man. Let's snatch up some of these characters that no one's touching. If they came out with a 1/6 Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn with the bow, I would buy that tomorrow. I would sell figures to buy that if I had to. You know what I mean? One character I'm holding out on is Cal Kestis from the Star Wars Fallen Order series and Jedi Survivor. He is definitely one of my favorite Jedi, and I would put him right next to my Obi-Wan if he was available. That would be my pick if I was to get another Jedi, but he does not exist. And this is, nobody's making them, and I don't know what the deal is with that. Maybe it's a likeness issue, but I feel like this figure looks so good that for people who really love this game and people who are really invested, this is a sure shot pickup. InArt has yet to make a figure that I'm looking to purchase and hunt down yet, just off sheer happenstance. And I've mentioned this in the episode before. They focused on Lord of the Rings, they focused on Harry Potter, and they focused on a lot of the Snyderverse DC stuff. But they've yet to make a figure that I'm like, ooh, I gotta hunt that down. I think Phil's got the Kratos. Yeah, that 1/6 scale Kratos is so beautiful, man. It just came out, and if it fit my collection, I damn well get it. And speaking of video game characters, I got Darth Revan right next to my Vader. That's my video game representation in Star Wars, because Darth Revan's from Knights of the Old Republic, goated game. So I hope this does well, because if this does well, then other video games will begin to breed life into the hobby, and hopefully bring some more people into the hobby, because this is fun stuff. Speaking of video game characters, next is a character that, for those who've watched Arcane, have been drooling over ever since they've heard about it. You'll probably have to get Akuma. Yes, definitely a 1/6 scale Akuma will be goated. There are some 1/6 scale Ryus and 1/6 scale Kens floating out there, but between me and you, they're not that great. So I'm kind of waiting for them to get like the real treatment. But Akuma will be sick. This is Vi from a series called Arcane. based on the League of Legends video games. This is possibly one of the most interesting hot toys I've ever seen. Only because hot toys usually go with real surrealism and like breaking Uncanny Valley, like I just mentioned a moment ago, having a small human on your shelf, having a small character on your a real life person on your shelf. But in this case, this is a very stylized figure. This is a very stylized show. So they're dipping their toes into something they've never really done before, outside of the Enter the Spider-Verse Miles Morales stuff, which is make something like this not feel crazy in your collection. And just to show you some pictures real close up of this particular figure. Mind you, I don't know much about Arcane. I didn't watch this series. Everyone's screaming at me to watch it. I may just watch it just to catch up with this stuff because it looks so good. But this figure here is just dripping with attention. It's going to be an attention stealer on your shelf. Comes with separate rolling eyes so you can lock in that pose. Comes with a ton of accessories like those giant Guilty Gear arms. I don't know what those are about. It reminds me of Steampunk Heaven there. Seamless arms so that you don't break the immersion. Like I said before, you don't want your figure to look like a toy at the end of the day. You want it to look like a beautiful representation of the figure you have in your mind. This thing comes with an amazing base, completely articulated from head to toe. And it just looks like a solid figure. I can't see a seam in this thing. You know what I mean? If she had witches, it'd be Eno. Yeah, I mean, if they made a Guilty Gear Eno, I probably couldn't have that in my collection, only because I'll probably get some stares because they'll be liking them clothes. But this particular figure, it's pretty clean. I'm actually just looking at it directly, and I'm not seeing a seam. And one of the hardest things you could do with a 1/6 scale figure is hide the seams and make it look like it's an actual statue. Imagine though, yeah, I mean, video games, right? This is just what I'm talking about. Making video game characters in 1/6 scale. Like, I personally would love like a Zato 1. I would love an Eddie in 1/6 scale. If we're talking Guilty Gear fighting games, I would love a Blanca. You know what I mean? Like OG Blanca. And not to mention, I would love ketchup and mustard. You know what I mean? Sector and Cyrax, die cast to Mortal Kombat 1/6 scale. That would be amazingly goated. So I think figures like this, and because Arcane is that perfect kind of bridge between video games and TV, they can really kind of get away with it and draw people who are into League of Legends, and not just that, draw people who are into Arcane into this figure line and be able just to take that away there. What is this figure for me? I gotta say no, because there's a sister figure that comes with this, the main character of Arcane, and I think those two would be a very decent kind of tag team that you will want to put together. And I'm just not that invested to spend. I'm assuming this thing's going to be at least $300, $400, $350, and then that times 2 with the other figures, so that's like a G out the door. No, I'm not really my thing, but I can't front if this thing isn't engineered out the wazoo. This thing looks clean as hell, and if this is the future of Hot Toys, or the future of what they plan, sign me up. You know what I mean? I'm super down for it. And last in the way of news this week, definitely wanted to talk about Ahsoka's own Captain Enoch. You're like, who? You're doing the Guardians of the Galaxy who. But if you watch the Ahsoka series on Disney Plus, you know that this is the right hand to none other himself. If I look at his face, the Mr. Blue Man face. His name escapes me at the absolute worst moment. But and if Wash was here, he would clunk me upside the head because it's one of his favorite characters. General Thrawn. Thank you. Just came to mind. General Thrawn. With the Ahsoka series, I was very happy how it turned out. I was a fan of it. Also, I think that General Enoch here, or Captain Enoch rather, is probably the most unique Stormtrooper I've seen outside of Captain Phasma. Just in regards to just his design, the breaking up of the color, the gold, the chipping of the armor, not to mention his almost like gladiator faceplate. I think this is another one of those shelf stealers that people would walk in your collection and say, what the hell is that? Who is that? I want to learn more about him. And that kind of left a lot of us like that because we didn't get much to know about him in Ahsoka. So when Ahsoka season 2 drops, I hope they have more of him in that. When it comes to this figures, he doesn't come with a lot, but then again, some figures don't need to. Comes with this blaster, comes with a very standard base. If you look at that image on the far under right, you can see that there is a stand there, whereas with the artisan, it was a magnetic stand. So if you wanted to kind of see the difference between a standard figure and an artisan figure, this is the perfect example, like weighing this up against a Winter Soldier with leather armor and magnetic bases and rolling eyeballs. But yeah, I would definitely recommend Toots if you're really like Star Wars. If you like Rebels, I know you like Rebels, please watch Ahsoka. It's very Rebels coded, as the kids would say. So definitely try to watch Rebels because I think you're gonna get some surprises in there if you're a Rebels fan. And this guy makes an appearance. And honestly, I'm kind of tempted to pick this guy up just off the rip because I do want some Stormtrooper representation in my Star Wars shelf. And I kind of don't know what direction I want to go in yet. I definitely want a classic trooper from like the original series. I don't want any First Order stuff because I'm out there. But if I was to get like an OG Stormtrooper, I would say like a Captain Enoch here, and maybe as a third Stormtrooper, maybe I don't know, because I don't consider maybe a clone trooper, maybe like a Captain Cody, or a Rex, you know what I mean, to kind of finish that off. But no new trilogy ever, unless it's like Kylo Ren or something, and all the old Kylo Rens don't look good. So if you were to ask me, I would pick this guy up, especially if you already have a General Thrawn. Those are like a 1-2 punch on your shelf because I know that Thrawn looks goated, and that is a figure of the year for a lot of people. Admiral Thrawn, thank you, Bradley. Before the Star Wars heads throw bantha dung at me, can't have that. See, we dropped 2 people just from the mistake. See how it goes. You see what happens, Larry, when you find a stranger in the Alps. Yes, so definitely would pick this one up. I'm sure my local spot that I pick my figures up at will most likely have him. Super tempted to pick it up, but I just don't know. I'm kind of torn because I don't know what direction I'm still going. My Star Wars collection is very fledgling and it's very malleable, so I don't know what direction I'm going in just yet. Well, when it comes to the show, that's all the new figures that I have set to talk about this evening. For the remainder of the next, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes, I'd love to take questions and kind of just chew the fat with you guys before the show ends. So if you have a question in the chat about anything 1/6 scale, it doesn't have to be about the figures we discussed, can be about the figures we discussed. I'm just here to chat and here to talk. So let me know, and I'll just wax poetic until a question comes in, and I'll answer it there until we hit the 45-minute mark. I think that'll be a nice solid entry for this episode 2 of MOTN Figured It Out. We could just chill. Oh man. So while I'm just kind of sitting here, would love to talk about the very first figure I picked up. What got me into the hobby was what's in your cart? That is a dangerous question, Toots. So what do I have in my cart right now? Actually, who is your cart? What question do you have? Who is your cart that fits in my collection? All right, we can talk about that. Give me 2 seconds to pull. I will pull up this information right now. Who is in my cart? All right, so I just want to. I can't out myself here and just show my entire cart, but I will talk about it. Rex. Captain Rex from like the Clone Troopers. Yeah, Rex, Cody, Fives, the Wolf Squadron orders. So the orders I have that are currently live now for Toots, I'm currently waiting on the Scorched Xenomorph from Alien Romulus That's not coming till the tail end of this year, October 2025 to March 2026. What else do I have? I have a Hono Studios. Speaking of Hono Studios, I have a Hono Studios Magneto that I've been waiting on since October of last year to complete my 90s X-Men. I have the special edition Darth Maul that I just put a pre-order down. You know what I mean? Also, and who else is in my cart? Who people are my waitlisted figures? That would be an even better question. Or figures I wasn't able to get that I kind of want now. To be honest, I wanted that Winter Soldier. I put that Winter Soldier in my waitlisted to see if I can catch him. Another one I really want is the return of the Revenge of the Sith, Darth Sidious with the electric hands. You know, my little green friend. You know, I want that guy because I think he'll go good on my Sith shelf. Black Panther. I really want a Chadwick Boseman. I want the original suit, and I wasn't able to get that when it first came out. So I have that in my wish list, in my cart. Hopefully, I'll get it. Yeah, I really want a Chadwick. I'll fit him in. I'll fit him somewhere into my Marvel shelf. Just to round out, Scarlet Witch from the Multiverse of Madness. I want that to go with my Dead Strange that I have back there. She-Hulk. Oh, I want She-Hulk so bad, dude. I haven't been able to find a She-Hulk anywhere. They sold out like immediately. It fits nowhere in my collection, but I want a She-Hulk so bad, man. That figure is so sick. Artist and Anakin Skywalker. We talked about that on my Most Wanted episode. The Joker from The Dark Knight, Artisan with the rooted hair. I definitely wanted that. There was a Wonder Woman that was from WB 100 with the rooted hair that kind of just was available for 2 seconds and disappeared. And lastly, between me and you guys, I really want a horror shelf. So and there's a 1/6 scale Freddy Krueger and a 1/6 scale Jason Voorhees that I'm kind of hunting down. I had an opportunity to get them at one point, but at that time, flat broke, couldn't afford it. As I mentioned earlier, this is not a cheap hobby, and when they come in twos like that, it's just too expensive. Had to pass on them. So now I am back in the hunt for those, and that is currently my wait list. Question from Bradley, what we have here. What is your top 3 figures you wish after listening to a couple of weeks of mine would be Akuma, Darth Bane, and I haven't thought of a third. That's the cool thing about this hobby, Bradley, is that take your time, man. With this hobby, because it's so expensive and because the hobby is so kind of can be a bit nerve-wracking sometimes, pace yourself. Your first figure you will never forget. So I can tell you right off the top of the dome, there is no Akuma just yet, 1/6 scale, at least that I'm aware of. Darth Bane is going to be coming. Tony, what's going on? Definitely what's going on, Tone. Bullet Tooth Tony over here. Let's go. Take your time. If you want to get into this hobby, strategically plan out what you're going to do. Are you just going to be the one? Are you going to be the guy who just has the one Iron Man on his desk at work? That's totally fine. Or are you going to be the guy who goes insane and buys 600 of these things and has a whole garage of 1/6 scale? Not my style, but I respect it. You know what I mean? But have an end game, no pun intended, when you're getting to this hobby, because otherwise you're just going to frustrate yourself and you're going to be spending a lot of money on figures that you may not even want. You know what I mean? This is the worst hobby to have a catch-em-all Pokemon mentality. So I tell everybody, choose 3, choose 2, choose 1. Just, you know, hobby within your means. And if you balling, then hey, you know, ain't tricking if you got it. But if you want to have like a curated collection, like I'm going for a curated collection. I don't have a lot of money. I'm very frugal. But the figures that I do have mean something to me because of nostalgia, mean something to me because of history of what the character had to have. 1989 Batman, you know what I'm saying? Had to have had, you know, Iron Man Cap and Thor from Endgame, just too epic, right? So definitely collect within your means. Also, Darth Bane is probably coming, bro. We already got Darth Revan, and we have the other Darth from Knights of the Old Republic. So I don't see them not doing Bane. Why not? Question from Toots. Toots said 1/6 Babadook or Regan. Regan would be sick. Regan would be super sick for a horror shelf. And I've seen some custom Regans. I've actually seen some custom Babadooks too. But the problem with customs is you take the price of a normal hot toy and you triple it. Because now you're asking someone to make you a custom figure for you. And that's not going to be... I want a custom Sadako from The Ring with like a TV diorama with her crawling out. That'd be freaking fire. But customs get expensive. I remember I'll kind of start going crazy. And I was like, I want a custom The Shadow from the 90s. Remember that movie, The Shadow, with Alec Baldwin? And he was the character with the red mask and the two guns and the giant cape. I wanted a custom Shadow. And my man was talking like two stacks, $250 for like a custom figure. And I said, I definitely Abraham J. Simpson to my way out of there. I was like, back away, not today. I had to disco stew myself up out of there. But yeah, custom figures is a whole nother black hole that if you want to, Jesus, go for it. Mega Duels makes customs, but they aren't 1/6. Yeah, custom is a whole different animal. People just making things for you, like specifically, that would be insane. Bradley mentions I would love Chadwick Boseman and Wesley Snipes' Blade. It's funny you say that. There's a couple of Chadwick Bosemans out there. There's the Chadwick from Civil War. There's the Chadwick from the Black Panther movie, and I think there's another one from the Black Panther movie. There aren't many Black Panther figures. There's a couple of Chadwicks. There's one Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, and there's one Shuri that's floating out there, and that's like your shelf, you know. But there's not many Black Panthers out there. There is a Punisher figure, Bradley. Actually, there is a Punisher figure from the Netflix show, but that's what they call a Grail. That's a figure that came out years ago, and it costs like $1,000 on the third party scene. With this new series coming out, Daredevil Born Again coming out on Disney Plus, there's hope that they'll make another Punisher, because they're sure as hell going to make another Daredevil. Our Punisher is probably coming down the pipe fairly shortly. All cool, just the Akuma. Yeah, you know, I don't need a large pizza. Let me just get 2 slices. That's totally fine, bro. Akuma, maybe one day. Like I said, talking about the Wukong and talking about V, they're really dipping their toes into video game markets, and like a Street Fighter. I want like an OG Super Street Fighter Turbo Akuma, and probably even like a Street Fighter 6 Akuma. You know what I mean? Just to mix things up. But of course, I would have to have myself a Blanca, because you know Blanca mains rule the earth. But yeah, I think that would be something that is not outside the realm of possibility. But the problem with these companies is that they're really hit or miss, man. They make whatever they want. They don't make the logical choices. You know what I'm saying? Like, when did the Winter Soldier and Captain America come out? Like 10 years ago. We're getting a 2.0 now. It's like, in what world does that make sense to them? You know, it is what it is. So, like I mentioned in my most wanted list, please watch that episode. I'm waiting on a Jack Nicholson Joker 2.0 with, I don't care if it's artisan or not. I want that to be a match to my Batman, because that figure is super old and still looks super good. So that's the one I want. But I kind of have to fingers and toes and eyes crossed that they'll make the decision to put that out. Man, any other questions from Chizat? Anybody else have any figures they would love to see? Anything you would like to ask me, Mike G, while I'm on the MIC bars, while we have time? Otherwise, we can close out this episode of Figured It Out. And I'll just sit here and take a sip of my drink while y'all decide. Silence equals compliance. That's what I've always been told. Totally off topic. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day when I was macking away, if you're trying to get off soda and you want to drink carbonated water, drink a Waterloo. It's pretty much like drinking a soda. It's like drinking a soda, but it's not killing you. Tony, an animation Batman or Joker. My good sir, I have a company for you. If you're looking for like a Batman the Animated Series, Batman or Joker, there's a company that's called Mondo. They make 1/6 scale Batman the Animated Series figures, and they are phenomenal. Hold on, this I will break the channel to show you this real quick. Tone, let's see, Mondo Batman 1/6. Now these are kind of hard to find because they don't really make them in MOR, but these bad boys are what they call Sickness by Mondo. Let's see if I can pull up some images for you because I am a nice guy. All right, so let's go ahead and hide this slide here. Let's go ahead and open up a new screen. Mondo share. And let's go here, scope, and let's go here, scope. You know we got to scope it every once in a while on this channel. So yeah, so let's look at it. Batman the Animated Series, 1/6 scale, the goatness. These things are freaking dope, and they're super hard to find. Batman's been around for a while. There's a Joker. They just came out. Like you can see, there is a Poison Ivy here. That is super sick. 1/6 scale figure. Tons of accoutrement, which is my favorite word to say, so I like to say it. There's a Bane that came out, bro. Yeah. Those figures are pretty dope. Pretty dope. So, Mondo, that's the one you can do. Okay. Thank you for mentioning that, Toots, for those in LA. When was the last time you tried your luck at Frankensons? See, the problem with Frankensons is that they will tax you beyond belief. Frankensons, for those who are LA natives in the city of industry, it is a weekly convention and almost like a marketplace where people go and buy tons of figures. You can buy figures, you can buy Magic the Gathering cards, you can buy rarities. Anything you need, you can find at Frankensons. They do shows. It's a whole event thing. The problem with Frankensons is that it's almost like going to Disneyland and trying to buy a figure. You know what I mean? At Disneyana, they're going to charge you probably 30 or 40% more than the thing is worth. You can probably find what you're looking for if you're willing to drive down there, if you're in the area, but they're not going to haggle with you. It's just going to be it's going to be worse than just buying it overseas with shipping. You know what I mean? From my experience, I went to Frankensons like once or twice to hunt down an Iron Man, and the entire experience just pissed me off because I'm like, bro, why are you charging $600 for a $300 figure? You know what I'm saying? But do you want it? I'm like, yeah. Well, that's how much it is. All right, then. You know, Abe Simpson to my way out of there. You know, peace and salutations. You know what I'm saying? So, if you're looking for a figure, and this is a good conversation that we can end the episode on. If you're saying, Mike G, I've been watching these episodes. I want to dip my toe into 1/6 scale. How do I do it? How do I start? I'm gonna give you some really good kind of like sage advice that I've been able to do with my collecting here. There's a couple of things you can do. One, if you're in the United States of America, you can go to Sideshow Collectibles. They will have the latest figures there. They may not have a lot of the grails left, a lot of the older figures, because once they go, they go. You know what I mean? So if you're looking for something new, if you want to buy a figure that's just been released or announced, keep your ear to Sideshow. That's how you find these guys. Other places you can go on Facebook, and they have buyer and seller groups that you can join. I haven't done one of these yet because I'm scared. I don't want to get got, but that's always the case when you're working with P2P, person to person. So you can go join a group. People are always posting what they're selling. Hey, I have that Batman Mondo unopened. I'm selling it for XYZ. Okay, bro, mail it to me. I'll sell it to you PayPal. You know, shake hands with the man, get your figure. That's how it's supposed to go. But I can't be I find that to be highly unreliable because people are unreliable. So you can do it that way too. Or you can hunt down your local comic book store or hobby store and see if they're selling them as well. Some comic book stores will sell them. Some don't like to sell them because if they don't sell, that's just dead stock. And like you saw with that Bucky, that guy's like going 500. A business says I wanted to sit on $500 if nobody's interested. So go schmooze up your local comic book store. Hey man, do you guys sell hot toys? Do you sell in-arts? Do you sell 1/6 scale figures? Oh, if I ordered one through you, can I buy it from you? You know, these are conversations you can have to start getting yourself into that hobby and being able to locate stores in your area that may actually sell these locally. It's a diamond in the rough, but if you find a store that's selling them, treat them like a mechanic, bro. You know what I mean? There's a couple of people in your life you need to like actually be nice to. It's your mechanic, your doctor, your 1/6 scale figures collector seller. So that's kind of like the best ways to get into this hobby is trying to find your way that you want to collect. You know what I mean? And once you do that, collect responsibly, please. You can mess around and get yourself in debt with these damn things. I mean, that's what you don't want to do. Any other questions while we hit this hour mark? Very good show this night. We were able to get a lot of topics done. Definitely special thanks to Bradley, Toots, Tony for coming through, asking questions. I thought that was Billy Zane. It was funny we say that, but a lot of times these head sculpts are really hit or miss, bro. Like there is a Human Torch that just came out, and that thing looks like Clint Eastwood's dad. You know what I mean? The head sculpt did not come out well. So a lot of times it's really hard to get these locked in. Will we get a Fig Pen episode? Ooh, speaking of current events, I would just showcase a Fig Pen real quick while we're sitting here because I have a whole stack of them that I need to put into a folder. So you may ask yourself, what's a Fig Pen? These are collectible figures, pins that are really not that expensive and they're fairly cheap, but they look amazing. I recently did a top 5 Fig Pen kind of like short that we put on our Instagram. Please follow our Instagram, masterofthenerdiversecast.com, I believe it's the moniker, and it's also on our TikTok, so please go on our TikTok and check that out. I am thinking about doing like a chill stream where I just kind of go through Fig Pen for Fig Pen. I don't know if do you guys want that? Do you guys want me just listening to this music and just chopping it up with you guys while I put these in my pin collection and kind of vault them for now and kind of talk about each character, talk about each pin? Give me yeses or nos in the chat. If you don't want that, let me know. And I'll just do that on my own time. But if you want that, I can make that an episode. I'm down. I was kind of toying with that idea, but I'll have to kind of move my camera around and make it work. But yeah, let me know if you guys want that in the chat. All you have to do. Yes, I can afford those. Yes, you can. This is something that is highly affordable. These half of my collection is $3 pins, $4 pins. Some of them are more expensive because they're rare, but for the most part, these things are highly inexpensive. Like I got this random Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta that I have to put in my collection at some point somewhere. Got that for like $3. You know what I'm saying? Fairly inexpensive. But yeah, Fig Pens are fun to collect. And you can start pairing them up and making little teams and hunting them down. And there's a whole app where you get points and stuff. And it's a whole thing. I'm still learning about it. I'm still very new in this hobby. But I kind of lost my mind. Yeah, I need to slow down on my Fig Pen collection because it's kind of gotten out of control. I've lost all semblance of self-control. You know, I even got myself a little Eva while we're just sitting here. Eva. Wally. Eva. Okay, hold on. Now we're going to do... See, you started substitutes. I got Eva. Wally. I'm doing voices. That's how you know Mike G is getting tired when he starts doing voices. But yeah, you know what I mean? Fig Pens all day. 1,000 years Fig Pens. If you guys want me to do that, please let me know in the chat. I think we're just about to hit our hour mark, so this is a good time to call it. I know, right? Well, they're too cute. It's too cute. My Disney page. I'm going to have a whole page for Disney and homage to my time working at Disneyland. I'm trying to get some of those pins that I lost over the years. So with that, once again, thank you for coming to the channel. Everybody who showed up tonight was able to interact with me while I waxed poetic about this beautiful hobby. As I mentioned before, please collect responsibly. Please like this on YouTube. Comment. What's the figure that you're looking for? Is there a figure that I missed that you wanted to talk about? Like that Azimuth Snake Plissken I refuse to look at because it looks awful. Subscribe to this channel. I do plan on doing more Saturday night episodes. I figured it out. We'll talk, and it's going to be pretty much this format. We're going to talk current events, what figures launched this week, and just chew the fat with you, the collectors, with you, the Nerdiverse. So I do appreciate your time. Thank you, Toots. This feels like it was a good episode. Feels good to have some content that's just a little mic coded. You know what I mean? But more than happy if you want to become a member or even join an episode. If you like talking about these figures, please hunt me down. Message me. We'll make it work. And for all those out there, thank you for your time. This is Mike G with MOTN. Collect what you love. Love what you collect. MOTN out.